Hey, my name is Ryan Shepard, and I'm here to talk about my project, Shrimp with the Side of Oil, that I worked on with my partners Jason, David, Charles, and Peter. Now, as I said before, our project is called Shrimp with the Side of Oil, and today I'm going to talk to you about BP and its oil spill that occurred back 4 years ago. Now, back on April 20th, 2010, Rihanna had a number one song. I had just found out that I was going to be coming to choke in a little spot in the middle. And LeBron James had just dropped 40 points on the Chicago Bulls in the playoffs. Now, none of that comes even close in comparison when we talk about BP's oil spill. The oil spill took place on April 20th, 2010, as I said before, and an explosion on the Deepwater Horizon oil rig killed 11 people. That means 11 families lost loved ones and people that they truly care about. But what took place after the explosion is what we're going to talk about today. Now, when we talk about how much oil actually spilled in during the entirety of the oil spill, we're talking about 205.8 million gallons. That's enough to fill 205.8 million milk containers, 389 billion Coca-Cola containers, and 779 trillion shot glasses. That's a lot of damn oil to be spilling all into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, we're going to talk about four major groups that are affected. The living shrimp over there, the shrimping industry, the federal government, and the idiots responsible for this mess, BP. Now, let's go a little bit into the biology. Let's go into what really makes the shrimp tick. Now, the shrimp feed off of these microscopic plants called phytoplankton. And these phytoplankton are greatly affected by the oil. Number one, because yes, it's difficult to live in an ocean filled with oil. And that oil contains methane, which reduces the amount of oxygen that they can take advantage of. And when they can't survive because they don't have enough oxygen, the zooplankton, which the shrimp are a part of, you have shrimp, corals, you have grouper, you have other fish that we eat constantly that are greatly affected by this lack of phytoplankton. And those, as I said before, are called zooplankton. You can see here the shrimp, the jellyfish, more shrimp, crabs, coral. What we're going to focus on before, as I said, is the shrimp. Now, these shrimp are greatly affected mainly because they don't have enough food to eat. And as like us, if you don't have enough food to eat, two things may happen. You're going to die, or you're going to end up becoming deformed by the lack of oxygen or the lack of necessities that you need to survive. So if you eat this, you may die. And that brings me to our next point, which is the shrimping industry. The shrimping industry was decimated in the Gulf of near the Gulf of Mexico because of this oil spill. 84% of what is caught and brought into seafood restaurants in the Gulf of Mexico area is caught near the coast of Florida. Now, as you can see, you have grouper, you have crab, you have other fish, and you have what we're going to focus on today, shrimp. Now, if you can't take advantage of 84% of what you normally catch, you're going to be pissed off, and you're going to be angry, and it's going to become even more angering because you're going to find out the exact number of area that you can't even fish in. Now, we're going to focus on the 88,000 square miles that they could not catch fish in. That's roughly 16 times the state of Connecticut, which we are in now. So just imagine you are a farmer and you try to farm across the country. You're going to take up 16 times of what you normally have the area to farm in and grow crops. You can't do that anymore. And that's exactly what happened to the fishermen and the shrimping industry when this oil spill occurred. Now, as I said before, it's coming mainly off the coast of Florida where you can't catch things. But let's focus on right here where the oil spill took place. So cities like New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Mobile, and as I said before, down in Florida near like Tampa and other areas on the coast near the Gulf of Mexico, they don't have enough shrimping, they don't have enough shrimp, they don't have enough fish, they don't have enough of a lot of things to make their cities tick. And if they don't have the seafood to fund seafood restaurants, that hurts tourism. And if that hurts tourism, that hurts hotels. And you have a lot of people that depend on their paycheck from these industries that they now are going to be greatly affected, and they're going to be greatly angered by the loss of seafood. Now, let's take this into comparison. Losing that 88,000 is critical. That's like Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen. It's like the Beatles without John Lennon. It's like the Yankees without Derek Jeter. You're losing a vital part of what you normally collect. And I can't emphasize that enough. If you take out something that you do every single day, you're going to be angered and you're going to be upset. So that's saying, like, if you eat breakfast every day and you suddenly cannot have breakfast, it's going to be really upsetting to know that it's all because of something that could be avoided, which is going to take me to our next perspective, BP. We've all seen BP gas stations. We've all seen the logo. We've all seen how their stocks can go up and their stocks can go down. And their stocks went way down when this oil spill took place. Now, you can see little Malaya down here. Right around the time of the oil spill, she asked her dad, "Daddy, did they plug up the hole yet?" And that's a great question because for over 3 months, they couldn't plug up that hole. BP tried everything. They tried the top kill method. They tried the static kill method. They built oil relief wells. They did everything in their power to make sure that they could plug up this hole. But it still didn't stop the bad publicity that was coming their way because of this oil spill. Now, you see here, Tony Hayward, he's having a lot of headaches over this stuff. Why? Because even though he's not directly associated with that specific oil rig, he's still the CEO of a major company that is going through major PR troubles. This is a PR nightmare, which is going to hurt how much this company can bring in on a quarterly basis. Now you have John Brown. He's smiling. Why? Because he's the former CEO. And he's this former CEO, and he's also known as the man who is responsible for cutting corners in past years with BP. When BP was under his jurisdiction, BP became infamous within the oil industry because they cut corners. And because they cut corners, it allowed for something like this to happen. Now, you see this man. He works for Transocean. Transocean is the company that leased the rig to BP. And BP pointed the finger at Transocean. Transocean pointed the finger back at BP. And they did this at a Senate meeting, which greatly angered President Obama. Obama called the spectacle ridiculous. And it was mainly ridiculous because not only was Transocean and BP pointing fingers at each other, the Democrats and the Republicans were pointing fingers at each other. And you're saying, what else is new? But this is a major issue because this, as I said before, it could have been avoided, but it also adds another issue. There are enough issues on Capitol Hill. And when you add another issue such as this, that is angering so many people in our own country on a day-to-day basis, it's never good. Now, why does this all matter? Why should you care about the shrimp? Why should you care about the shrimping industry? Why should you care about BP? Why should you, well, you should care about the federal government because you're in this country. That's obvious. But the other three, why should you care? And you should care for two main reasons. Now, the first is all of these things are dying. The brown pelican's dying. The beach sunsets are now messed up because the beaches are messed up. The sand's messed up. The shrimp are messed up. The shrimping industry's messed up. The blackfin tuna's messed up. Everything near the beach is messed up. Why? Because of the oil. And these fish are innocent bystanders in something that should not have happened in the first place, which brings me to my second point, innocent bystanders. The same people that were greatly affected by the BP oil spill are the same people that were greatly affected by Katrina not too long ago. And these same people were just rebounding from this great disaster, and they were coming into their own and bringing back the Gulf to where it needed to be. But now because of this BP oil spill, they had to restart all over again for many of them. Now, as I said before, they didn't deserve this. They did not deserve for a BP oil spill just to mess up a large part of their economy down in the South. And this may ask you yourself, how can I help? How can I do my part? And you can do your part in a lot of ways. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, be the change you want to see in the world. There are several places where the BP oil spill still affects people. People are still unsure about whether to eat certain fish, eat certain seafood products down in the South. It's kind of like what happened with Taco Bell and E. coli. When the E. coli epidemic hit Taco Bell, I personally did not eat Taco Bell for 5 years. And I can only imagine what a BP oil spill would do to people's apprehension about eating seafood that could be deformed. Now, BP has said this bad publicity has been overplayed. And while it may have been overplayed, it's still in the minds of people as they eat certain seafood. So you can donate to different charities, you can donate to certain rescue teams that will go down and try to help certain people and certain animals down in the area. So this all brings me back to my final point. Be the change you want to see in the world. Try to help those down south, because if we help those down south, we will be able to help our greater economy that affects us all, the American economy, which is so interconnected in today's world. So if you help the South, you will not only be doing the right thing, you'll be helping certain people get back on their feet. Even 4 years after the spill, there are still people being affected. So do your part and be the change you want to see in the world. Thank you.